I'm tired of that lifestyle. I mean, when I tell y'all I will never go back down that road again, and when I look at how all of us as a family are now, it's something I don't want to lose.
Yeah.
The only regret I have is not getting sober from my mom and dad passed.
Let's be honest about recovery.
The rewards, the challenges.
Let's talk about our failures.
We are flawed people, after all.
Let's challenge the stigmas that weigh us down.
Because while most of us are looked at,
Few of us are seen.
Let's talk about addiction.
And how Christ overcomes our weaknesses.
Because we are loved.
because we are loved.
Because we are loved.
We are loved.
We are
Because
loved.
we are loved.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Jesus Loves Addicts, and it is upon us, the Christmas season. And so we want to start by saying Merry Christmas to everybody. And what a fitting guest, because as I look down, her name is Starr. And so I think, obviously, of the Star of Bethlehem that brought the greatest gift ever to us all. So, or at least led us to him.
Yes.
So, Starr, welcome. Starr Blackmon, correct, is from Loxley, Alabama. She's 3 years sober. She's a grandmother of 7 and a mother of 3. So speaking of Christmas, you're going to have a full house this
Most definitely.
very soon. Is that right? Do you host?
My daughter does mostly.
Yeah. Okay. So well, that's good. So when it gets real chaotic, you can bow out. So.
Oh, yeah.
But Starr, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting because we are entering this season of peace and of joy, but probably long before these were a joyful time for you, there was probably some unjoyful celebrations, if I'm not mistaken.
Most
where does
definitely.
where does your story begin?
Well, probably in high school. I started dabbling a little bit in, that's when everybody did cocaine. I was one of the popular ones in high school, cheerleader and everything. But then when I got on the partying side, I quit going out for cheerleader, all that good stuff. I got pregnant when I was a senior, had Kristen.
And Kristen's your oldest child.
Yes.
Okay.
It was a very abusive marriage. We started dating in high school, and it was abusive in high school.
Now, that was just dating then at that time.
We were dating. Then when I got pregnant, we got married. Was
that still in high school?
Yeah. Yes, well, I quit in the 12th grade.
Oh, you quit, okay, to get married.
And had got my GED. So it got really bad to where my mom and dad had to come pick me up one night and tell me if I went back.
They were done.
They were done.
The beating?
Yes, because it was very verbal and physical.
Yeah.
So when we actually divorced, I think Kristen was around 3. Partied a lot. Kristen was with my parents a lot. Met my second husband. We stayed married 16 years.
Well, let me pause you just for a second, if I could. So, a question about where you started us, and then I kind of want to take you back a little bit. But now, was your daughter ever the subject of the abuse, or it was strictly toward you? So
Me.
she was,
But now he would do it in front of her.
So she, those young eyes did see it. I understand. So, You've introduced several things. One is a very dysfunctional relationship, and I don't know if this is true of you, but
let me say my growing up.
Yeah,
great family.
That's what I wanted to ask more
that's
about.
what I was curious about.
No problem. You know, my mom and dad did get a divorce after Randy and I got married, but they never would divorce while we were still at home.
All right, and so it's, how many siblings do you have?
One older sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
Y'all were raised, I think we said Loxley.
Loxley, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I know you said you were involved in things in school, but like, what was your upbringing?
It's fine. All the family functions.
Were y'all in church?
Yeah, well, we were when we were younger. As we got older, we quit going.
Okay.
Probably about the time, 6th or 7th grade. And Karen, my sister's 2 years older than me. So having an older sister, too, my mom let me start going out with her a lot.
Okay.
That's how I met my first husband.
Well, let me ask you, because it's an important topic. Many I don't mean to stereotype, but many women especially find themselves in these types of situations, but not exclusively. But typically, you see women who get into abusive relationships come from a chaotic background, and that's just familiar to them, right? But you're saying your background was quite good. What do you think made you so accepting of that? Did it become abusive quickly, or did it take a while?
He was very, very jealous when we were in high school. He was 2 years older than me. And I actually met him through my sister. That's how I met him. Now, his father was very abusive to him.
That's what he learned.
That's, I guess, why he was like that with me. But he was a very jealous person. I don't even know why I stayed when I did stay.
That's what I was like.
What I was
Kind of like
I
Paul
would
saying.
leave. I would leave, and he'd say, "What are you going to have? You're not going to have nothing." His family did have money. They were one of the largest home builders in Pensacola, Florida. I did go back a couple times. That last time when my parents told me that, I didn't. That was it. You know, I never went back.
So it started out verbally abusive. As he was one of your older sister's friends first, that's how you met him. Did your parents ever get involved before you ever got pregnant in the 12th grade? Did your sister ever say, "Hey, Starr, what are you doing?"
I hid it a lot.
Yeah.
Mainly from my parents. Karen would step in, but then when I started having black eyes and stuff, you couldn't hide it.
And you were still in high school.
Yep. And when we got married, of course, Mom and Daddy didn't want me to get married. Daddy was like, "We'll help you raise a baby," but I thought I had to get married, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, there's lots of reasons, and I'm sure, they get muddled, I'm sure, right? I mean, as you think back on it, I can see on your face, you're thinking, why did I stay, right? Sometimes, So I get that. Well, thank you. So was it within that relationship that you began to use?
Yes. With him.
With him. And that was cocaine?
Mm-hmm. Okay. I guess I want to ask, I know going out for cheerleader and things like that, not everyone can do that, but there is a huge focus on skill, appearance, and things like that. Do you feel way before you even ever started doing that, like trying out for things like that and getting involved, but do you feel like you struggled with a low self-esteem?
Not really. Randy was considered one of the popular guys in high school. You know what I mean? So with him being older than me, I guess, and everything, I felt like I had something everybody else wanted.
Right. Do you think that might have made you kind of accept, like, well...
Yeah, and then, like, he would go out with this girl, that girl behind my back, but he'd always, "Oh, I love you," So the way I looked at it then was, well, even though he did what he done, he was picking me over them.
Yes.
But not, see what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's kind of... Yeah.
Well, and in high school, status is important. So sometimes we'll overlook what we want to overlook to maintain the status, right? Yeah. So, wow. Well, that's quite a beginning. So was he your introduction? I know it was within that, but he introduced you to...
Yes, and then whenever, before we actually divorced, the guy he was getting the coke from, this was after when we were married, he was getting it from a guy on Pensacola Beach. Well, he was getting it so much that the guys wanted to meet who was getting all of it. So they took him down a road at Pensacola Beach, opened up a briefcase full of coke and said, "This means your life to us." Well, when he came home that night, I mean, he was a nervous wreck. Yeah. And when he told me what happened, we did start slacking off then, but everything was already past the point anyway.
Right.
I'd already planned on leaving several times, which I had left several times and came back, like I said, but it got real bad. And then he continued to use. Now, I didn't really like the coke a whole lot, so I didn't do it as much as he did at the time. Now,
were you doing other things? Drinking? Okay.
Weed.
And you did
we would go out partying more than what we should have. I mean, we had a child at home, We were still young. I was 17. He was 19.
Sure.
Right.
So, but I missed out on a lot of childhood things with Kristen.
And you did say she was with your parents a lot.
Yeah. And with his a lot because there was 4 boys. And she was the first grandchild and the first girl on Randy's side of the family.
So she was pampered outside of your environment.
Absolutely, yes. And she was the first grandchild, of course.
Okay. And how long was that relationship?
Altogether, probably about 7 years.
Wow.
But y'all were married for about how long?
3.
3. Okay. When y'all divorced, did you move in with your parents?
I did for a short time, and then Kristen and I got an apartment in Loxley.
Okay.
And I got a job with Bass Homes because I always worked for Randy's parents in Pensacola, which was a home builder. So I got a job with them, and that's actually where I met my second husband.
Okay.
Yeah, because he worked for Bass Homes.
So take us into that one.
So, he was like everything was like it was perfect. We had planned on having kids. It wasn't like, oops, I'm pregnant. We planned it out. We ended up having 2 boys. Tim was more of a father to Kristen than what her real daddy ever was. Then, on in the relationship, we started doing drugs. We started doing meth. And that is
How did that come about? I mean, you don't just wake up one day and...
We were at a little
try
bar called Club Carol's in Elsinore, and some friends of ours came in. And so Tim had went outside, and he came back in, and he said, walk outside a minute. Max, a friend of ours, was out there. He said, go out there. Max is out there. I said, okay. So, I had never done it. So Max had a line out. I thought I was doing a line of cocaine, I guess.
Yeah.
But when I did it, I thought my nose was going to fall off my face. It was terrible. And I was like, oh, my gosh, what is this? He said, just calm down for a minute. But, y'all, it was like 4 hours, and I was still wide open. I mean, it kind of scared me to start with, But
well, you had no warning about
we
what you
ended
were
up
even
being
doing.
up for 2 or 3 days.
Where was Kristen and your boys?
This is before I had Blake and Cole.
Okay.
Yeah, this is before I got pregnant. And that's crazy, too, because the minute I got pregnant with Blake, of course, quit everything. Didn't want anything.
Yeah.
Did the same thing with Cole.
So that was not difficult for you to do that?
No, not at all. But then it got to where, so Tim built houses all weekend long. We'd go to our friend's house. They had a pond house. We'd be down there half the time from Friday till Sunday. He'd have to go to work Monday morning.
Partying.
Still up.
Partying, fishing, and everything. Everybody had their kids. You're wide awake on it. You're not.
There was no napping.
No, not at all.
Were you still working?
I more or less stayed home the whole time Tim and I were married. I went to work one time at Foley at the doctor's office. Tim was raised where if you have kids, you stay at home.
Okay.
Be the housewife. So,
was that hard for you?
It was, but then it led me to use even more because I'd get bored. You can only clean so much, cook so much, But I never, ever missed a ball game. Tim coached. I never missed a ball game. We were totally involved in school activities, everything. So,
functional addicts, as they say,
functional,
right? Yeah.
Yes.
Which is almost more dangerous than dysfunctional because the consequences that eventually do hit are much harder, right? So,
yep.
Well,
we
you
could
fool
go
yourself.
around anybody, and they could not tell that either one of us were high. So
the kids?
They could not tell. The kids, my parents, nobody knew.
Let me ask you about that because I hear a lot of people say that. And while at face value, that's probably a true statement, they did not know you were high. Do you think in retrospect that they knew something was not right? Because kids typically are much more perceptive than we think.
I know Kristen did.
Yeah.
Of course, there was a 10-year difference with her and my oldest son.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure she did, but she would never say anything at the time.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And that's almost more scary, I think, for the kids is that they know something's wrong. They just don't know what it is. And so.
Or who's a safe person to tell them what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. Like I said, we'd be at the pond house all weekend.
Well,
so
your children were going to
the whole
sleep,
time,
but y'all weren't.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's, it's interesting to think about that. I think about that, again, sometimes I see some of these stories through dad's eyes, right? So I have an 11-year-old and I'm thinking about all of you at this pond house awake and wired for 3 days and kids floating around. That immediately comes up like, danger.
Right.
But that kind of is part and parcel to the addiction, right? So now you said something. You said being alone made you use more. And I feel like we kind of maybe leapfrog to something. Did you start using at home?
Yes.
And when did that start happening?
Well, now, Tim and I both did actually, like he'd come home for lunch to get high because he had to go back to work. But it also got to where at times I would have it and he wouldn't know I had it.
Were you kind of parsing off a stash to keep away from him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I was at home and I was bored,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah. I mean, it just, I don't know. I wanted to stay busy. I was scared to come down, just say if I had to go pick the kids up from school or something. So I just continued to get high.
Yeah.
You know.
Scared to come down and also
But,
scared to go to sleep.
Like I said, I was a functioning addict. Breakfast, lunch, supper, cooked, clothes done, house. You could have ate off the floor.
Right.
You know. So.
Yeah. Well, you can do a lot of cleaning when you're
Absolutely.
at 100 miles an hour.
I mean, you'll get down and get a little bitty spot, whether it takes 5 minutes or 5 hours.
And you have more time because you're not sleeping.
Right.
But there's a potent transition that's happening here, right? It's moved somewhere. It's moved from just something we do on the weekends and for fun to...
It's every day.
It was every day.
Yeah. So
every day.
All right. So now we're in a different stage.
Yeah.
I mean, what was that like for you?
Well, like I said, I didn't want to come down. I just wanted to keep getting high.
Were you still able to go around family and things like that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
When did y'all sleep?
Tim would pretty much sleep at night.
Yeah.
But, he worked all day, even if he came home and got high, because he did construction. So he'd be slap wore out, Maybe after 3 nights, I'd lay down at night. Which started putting wear on our relationship to the point where, he started telling me, you're not a wife anymore. You don't come to bed with me. I just let go in one ear and out the other, and he had an affair.
How long had y'all been married at that time?
Probably 8 or 9 years.
Did y'all, so y'all didn't
we
have...
We got past it.
Y'all still just had the one child?
Yes.
Kristen, okay.
So, we had, Kristen was born in 83, Blake was born in 93.
Okay.
And then Cole was born in 95. But, and like I said, Tim coached ball. He was back and forth between, but we were both back and forth between both ball fields. Like I said, functioning addicts, nobody, as far as we knew, nobody knew.
All right.
Right.
Well, then on Cole's team, we found out that one of the other coaches got high. So then we started buddying up with him. And we was all getting high even more, Then I ended up, after I found out about Tim's affair, which it devastated me. I mean, I was just, and this woman was really crazy, but we were working everything out. Well, then to get back at him, I ended up having an affair. And then one thing led to another, and...
Yeah, well... Dysfunction tends to lead to dysfunction, right? So,
yes. And now I will say, Tim kept telling me, he's the one that came to me and said, we've got to quit. We're going to lose everything we have. And we did now, our house did catch on fire whenever, I think it was Hurricane Danny came through, which ended up not being a bad hurricane, but we had a power surge.
Yeah.
We had just built our house. It took us 2 years to build it because we paid for it as we went. Beautiful home.
Yeah.
Burnt to the ground.
I'd like to take a moment to recognize a major podcast sponsor. Today's episode is brought to you by America's Thrift Stores, your go-to option for decluttering and giving back. If you have a closet bursting at the seams or a garage that's seen better days, we've got the perfect solution for you.
That's right. America's Thrift Stores makes it easy to clear out the clutter and make a positive impact in your community. Whether you're cleaning out your wardrobe, downsizing your living space, or just looking to give back, America's Thrift Stores has you covered.
And here's the best part. You've got options. Schedule a hassle-free home pickup, drop off your items at one of their convenient donation sites, or swing by an America's Thrift Store to donate in person. No matter which way you choose, you're making a difference.
Absolutely. Every donation you make to America's Thrift Stores directly benefits charities in your area, such as the Home of Grace and other fantastic organizations dedicated to helping those in need.
For example, donations made to America's Thrift Stores in southern Mississippi help the Home of Grace provide support and assistance to individuals facing drug and alcohol addiction. Your contributions make a real impact on their mission to provide freedom from addiction through Christ-centered recovery. So not only are you decluttering your life, but you're also helping build a stronger and more supportive community.
It's truly a double blessing. So what are you waiting for? Clean out that closet, clear out that garage, and make a positive difference in your community by donating to America's Thrift Stores.
Visit America's Thrift Stores online to schedule a home pickup, locate a donation site near you, or get directions to one of their store locations.
America's Thrift Stores, where giving back never goes out of style.
So let me pause you there for a minute, Starr. So, because what's coming up is the result of a natural disaster, right? Mm-hmm. You're about to, you mentioned the hurricane. Mm-hmm. My question leading into that, though, as I was thinking, so here you guys are using really,
every day,
24/7. Obviously, maybe not 24/7, but and it lends itself to. I'm thinking, what a disadvantage to making what your husband was probably making, right? The building industry can bring in a pretty hefty income. Mm-hmm. And so we get guests on here all the time who are either destitute, they're doing what they need to do to get drugs, right? Selling themselves, this is where it takes us. Here you guys are making a lot of money,
right,
which is really probably dangerous to the addiction. So my question was, what's happening financially with the amount that you guys are using? Is it starting to make a dent there yet, or is it you just making enough that it's...
It did eventually.
Okay.
But at that point, not yet?
No.
That was your thought, and I was fixing to say, how are y'all paying for this?
Right.
Okay.
Tim made excellent money.
Yeah.
And like I said, it did eventually, but it took it a while,
Yeah. Sadly, money is not an addict's friend, right?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
It's not. And I was taking money out of the checking account to go get my stash that he didn't know I had.
Right.
And he was giving me money to go get what we had together.
And you were taking from that.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So here comes this hurricane. Where do we go from here?
So we all went to Birmingham, my family and Tim's family. I got hotels up there. We came back to 8 fire trucks, I think, and 13 water supply trucks. Our house was all wood.
Wow.
We had like the wood ceilings and everything up in flames. We had no idea we were coming home to that.
Right.
When we pulled on our road, we thought it was our neighbor's barn that was on fire. It was our house. And like I said, it took us about 2 years to build it.
Yeah.
Because, everybody helped out with everything. Yeah. But it was devastating.
Yeah.
It had all the kids' stuff in it.
Sure.
You lost everything in just a matter of moments.
Yep. So, and that put a strain on our marriage, of course.
Where did y'all go after?
We leased a house in Robertsdale, which it was more pricey. Mm-hmm. But me being used to what I was used to then, that's what I wanted and what I thought I had to have. Because I was pretty spoiled.
Yeah.
Well, you weren't working. You got to do what you wanted. Yeah, basically. But your house was clean.
Buying stuff wasn't any issue. Mm-hmm. I had a new vehicle all the time. Yeah. So,
where is God in all of this? Is there a concept of him? Is he on a shelf somewhere? Is there
Did you leave him at church when y'all stopped going?
Pretty much, I think
6 or 7.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this: I have always prayed.
Yeah.
But now, it was very few times that we went to church as a family.
Yeah.
We would go on Easter and Christmas. That was pretty much it.
The obligatory dates.
The boys would go to Bible school, so.
Yeah.
Every Sunday or just on Christmas? What does my mom calls them? The C&Es.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yes. So that's what I hear, right? You're really kind of wrapped up in the world's distractions, right? You're spoiled. You have a certain lifestyle that you're used to. I'm assuming that the house you're renting isn't quite living up to that, or leasing.
Well, it was because I had to have the more expensive
so you
house.
Pushed for the right house. Okay.
And then, that's when the money started getting kind of tight or whatever. Well, Tim actually went to my mama and told her I was getting high, but he left himself out.
Oh.
So
That's usually how that'll work.
yeah,
I'm worried about her. She's having some consequences. I need to help.
right. So then, since he did that to me, I went to his parents, which have always been very church every Sunday, everything.
So he was raised in church.
He was up until I remember his mom telling me when he hit like the 10th grade or whatever.
He just stopped?
Yeah, he just
Okay.
stopped. But he more or less was.
Right.
And it's the little old timey country churches up in Repton, Alabama. I don't know if y'all know where that's at, or it's like it used to be down here.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just dirt roads and back roads and woods, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
But and you know, we would go up there when we're trying to work things out again. Go to church with them a couple of Sundays. What is crazy though? One Sunday we went, and the preacher did not know anything going on. Well, he started talking about addicts, people getting high and their families and having kids. So I, of course, automatically looked at Miss Blackmon. I said, "You told him," because it's like we were being pointed out. And she said, "I did not tell him nothing."
But he was reading your mail, so to speak, in front of everybody.
Yeah.
At that point, did that feel like a sign?
We straightened up for a little bit, but then it went downhill again.
Yeah. How did you manage to straighten up for a little bit?
We didn't get around anybody. Kind of just stayed to ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, but like I said, it didn't last long.
So you made half of a good step, right? You cut out the old, acquaintances, but you didn't replace it with good acquaintances, right? You just said you isolated, and so there was a half measure there, right?
Well, and I wanted to ask, did this change or this effort that y'all made come after you told on him, or he told on you and you told on him, and y'all's parents came together? Or was there a confrontation?
So everything was after we told on each other. I started using it again before Tim did.
How long was this little short
you know, and one thing
stay?
with me too was, you know, back then you had to stay skinny so your husband wouldn't, you know what I'm saying? And you just, you were worried. I don't know. I was always worried about what he was doing or whatever. So I tried to
Did that
make sure
come
he didn't want to
before?
look at another woman.
Did that come before or after the affair? Were you always worried?
Both.
Okay.
So how long was this short?
Couple months.
A couple months, that long?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was it.
Okay. And so how
Then
did
we
you
got
find
really
your way
bad
back
again,
into it?
and then we started getting our divorce, and which got really bad. So when we legally separated, this guy that I started hanging out with made meth, cooked it, whatever. So I started helping him.
How old were your kids at this time when y'all got divorced and you were
Blake was 15 and Cole was 10.
Okay.
And Kristen was
25.
Yeah. So I would go by Sudafed. Well, of course, people started telling Tim. So one night, it was after the ball game or something, and the boys were going to stay with Mom and Dad. Tim said, "Come over to the house." I was like, "Okay, maybe we're going to work things out," you know. Well, little did I know, he set me up. So I'm leaving to go to his house, and I get pulled over in Robertsdale. Of course, they automatically searched me. Well, before I could even get to the jail and call Mom and Daddy, Tim had already called him and told him. So we knew that he was behind everything. Of course, I went to jail. My dad came and got me, and he asked me then, he said, "If you need help, tell me." No, I'm good. No, it wasn't mine. That wasn't mine.
Yeah.
You know, that's always not true.
Got to be somebody else's.
Right. That happens. I mean, y'all don't even know how many. From when I went to jail then, it was like clockwork every time I
That was
turned
your
around.
first arrest?
My first arrest.
And how old were you?
41,
Okay.
maybe, I think. But it was downhill after that. I mean, and, you know, Daddy would always bail me out.
Yeah.
But then it got to where Judge Wilters was tired of seeing me in his courtroom, and he sent me to prison.
Prison or jail?
Like Tutwiler?
Prison.
What was the offense?
2.5 years. You knew I went.
I don't think I caught that part.
What was the offense?
So,
Was it just possession? Or with intent to distribute, or what was?
whenever he sent me to prison, I had got another charge. I got manufacturing in Pensacola. I was already on probation in Alabama.
Okay.
So me and Michael and Jamie's ex-husband, Terry, we had Jamie's car. We all go to the boathouse in Pensacola. And I kept telling Jamie that day, I said, I don't want to go. I just had a gut feeling. But she didn't want them to take her car, so I was like, okay, I'll go. So we're at a boathouse launch thing, and I had actually left to go see a friend, and when I came back, they were almost finished. But now, like I said, I'd already been cooking with them anyway for a while. All of a sudden, they came out from the woods. It's like they came out from the water. They came out from everywhere, and I was like, Michael, who are those people out there on that pier? He said, I don't know, go see. Well, of course, when I opened up the door, it was like, get out here, blah, blah, blah. So that's when we went to jail. I had violated my probation. That's when I went to Home of Grace, too.
The first time?
The first time.
All right,
That
so
was
you
first
ended
time.
up 3 times total.
I
But all right.
violated my probation in Alabama. So that's what sent me to Tutwiler. 2.5 years I did there. Get out. I stayed clean a couple months, maybe. Got back around Michael and...
You said that's when you went to Home of Grace. Did you go to Home of Grace coming out of prison? Was that part of your release?
I went to Home of Grace. From Home of Grace, I went to prison.
Oh, from Home of Grace you went to prison?
So Miss Barbara had went with me to court and everything, but Judge Welters had enough.
He was done.
Okay.
Yeah, so
they were trying to
I had the
soften the
old
judge.
counselors back then.
Yes.
So
so that first attempt at recovery was strictly to impress the judge. You weren't really
I
about...
wasn't ready.
I got you.
I wasn't ready.
That makes sense.
Like I said, when I got home, I stayed from prison. I stayed clean for a couple months, started getting high again.
Well, from talking to people, I realized if you don't change something in prison, like change what you're talking about, you're going to go back. Prison is not treatment.
I mean, so when I went back to Home of Grace, I had got charged, went back to Home of Grace. Still wasn't ready.
That's your second time there now?
Second time.
Okay.
Had Miss Barbara again. Went through it, but then when I went to court then, Judge Welters let me go home. Instead of going to the grad room or whatever, he let me go home. Stayed clean for a long time.
How long is long time?
About 6 years.
Oh.
Right before I went back the third time.
What happened to get you?
I got around some people that I had hung out with before, and when they tell you cannot go around the same people, places, and things, that is the truth.
And it doesn't matter how many
is the
years.
truth.
That's right.
You can't.
That's right.
That's when I went to jail. Well, I went to court, and he put me straight. I even told him when I got there, I said, I can't pass the drug test because I got high the night before. And all my friends at my house were saying, why are you going to go if you're going to go to jail? I said, I've never missed a court date. I'm not going to miss one. And I knew I was going to go, but I'd be out in a couple hours. Or that's how it always usually worked.
Right.
Well, no, there was different plans. And
So this was in
August 26th of 21.
21. That's when you got arrested. Okay.
Yep.
Prior to the third visit.
So I went to Home of Grace. Okay, so my daughter and my grandson's stepmom and her husband, Raymond and Tiffany. My grandson was living with them at the time because my daughter was in active addiction. Tiffany kept money on the phone for me to call Brody. So this gets me all upset, but I called and she said, what about going to Home of Grace? They paid for me to go. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Anyway, I got there.
What is it about that particular story that reaches you that way?
Because there are good people. They didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
So who's she saying her grandson's father, not her children,
Right.
her grandson's father and his wife paid for her to go.
But they knew. It's like Tiffany said, we know
who you
how
are.
crazy Brody, it's about you. And, you know, but it took from August 26th to November 4th to get me there because Judge Scully did not want to let me go for some reason. I mean, and there was traffickers in there, manufacturers getting out left and right. I didn't even have a bond.
Yeah.
You know, and that last charge I got was just a possession charge. That was it.
Yeah.
Jamie was trying to get me there.
So this is
Sometimes those are acts of compassion by the
well,
judge,
you
right?
know,
I mean,
the way I looked at it, everything happens for a reason. That was God's way of stopping me in my tracks.
you had to sit down.
I did.
Yeah.
And
I
it
did.
needed to not be the way you expected it.
Right.
How many times have you the way it's always worked? I'm going to get out and I'm going to do this. No,
Exactly.
This.
But I can tell y'all that last time I was in there, I had made up my mind. I said, I'm done. And that's how I felt the night before I went to court when everybody was saying, why are you going to go if you're going to be locked up?
Yeah.
I was over it. I didn't want that lifestyle anymore.
Sick and tired of being tired and whatever it's got to look like, that whatever.
It wasn't fun anymore. It was like a job.
Yeah.
Trying to get money to get the dope. You know,
It's funny you said that you had a very high standard of living with a husband who I'm assuming this standard of living has come down considerably as you progressed in your addiction. Would that be safe to say, or did you manage to maintain it?
Talk about like now?
No, in your prior to that third visit to home.
You mean like my way of living then?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it came down.
Came down a lot. So we begin to we begin to settle, right?
Yeah, it came down a lot. Now both of my parents have passed away, and I was left the house. Then after I got to Home of Grace on November 4th, actually it's when we was having Miss Littleton's last birthday. She had
95th.
there.
So this is where I entered Starr. I was working intakes and admissions, and you know how sometimes you've done it. You'll be on that phone for a long time. Her friends and people called all day, every day. She called. We did all the things, but there was nothing to do at this point. Well, she would still call.
I mean, it's like
I'm still coming. I don't know when.
My attorney would say, the papers are on the judge's desk. Well, then the judge goes on vacation for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So you had a 2 week
It was
stay.
one thing after another.
Yeah.
So I was actually there from August 26th to November 4th. And like I said, there was manufacturers, just everybody getting out. And here I sat, and I was like,
stuck in, I got you.
What is the deal here?
Yeah.
But you know what it is now.
Yeah, I do now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then, this is a good part, though. So me and Kathryn have to go to court. That's, she took everybody to court.
So this is on the tail end of your third stay.
So we get to court. Like I said, third time's the charm. We get to court.
Oh, you thought you were court ordered there.
Yeah.
That's why.
Because they came and woke me up one morning and said, sign that you're signing your own bond, whatever. Tiffany, my grandson's stepmom, came to pick me up, the ones that paid to get me in. You're going to Home of Grace today. And I was like, yay, finally. So me and Kathryn go to court, and they're like, you're not scheduled. I said, yeah. Well, Kathryn had already told me, you be quiet and sit there and don't say a word. I'll handle everything. I was like, okay. Anyway, I had a totally different judge. It started with Judge Scully, but it's supposed to actually be Judge Taylor. Long story short, I didn't have to be in court. I didn't have to be at Home of Grace.
She wasn't court ordered.
I wasn't court ordered.
They were just going to let you out on your own.
Yeah. So on the way back, Kathryn's real quiet, and I'm like, she said, are you leaving when we get here? I said, are you crazy? No.
Well.
I said, I'm not going nowhere. Everything, it all happened
the way it
for
was
a reason.
supposed to.
Yeah.
I wasn't going anywhere. And I graduated on January 31st, 22.
What was that third experience like, right? Clearly
It was
the difference is that
everything
you're
was
ready.
totally different. I mean, the first 2 times I was there, I thought I was ready. In the back of my head, I knew I wasn't. I was just, I guess, trying to impress whoever, whatever, trying to, But now my daughter had a real bad wreck. We were trying to get her there. They don't do mother-daughter. They had a board meeting, got it approved for my daughter to come.
While you were there.
While I was there.
Wow.
Not only, so the thing was I was going to be going down to phase 2, though, so we wouldn't be
in the basic program together.
Yeah, that's the only way they got it approved. Well, we both ended up with COVID. We both get quarantined together. God just had other plans.
Yeah.
Me and her, our relationship had gotten really, really bad. She knew I was using. I knew she was using. We would deny it to each other's face, but we both knew.
Right.
But God put us there. And how it happened was Tiffany brought Brody, my grandson, to come see me. Well, my daughter and oldest grandson decided to come with her. And that's when Kristen told Tiffany, she said, I'm ready. So Tiffany and Raymond got Kristen in.
Side note, is she still sober today?
Yes.
From that same visit?
Yes.
So you both got, wow, that's fantastic. So you both celebrate your sobriety birthday together, mother and daughter.
Yep.
Wow, how cool is that?
Yep.
That's really neat.
And she's came, now, I was bad, but she was bad.
When you said wreck, though, that it wasn't just a bad wreck. Her entire face was crushed.
Yes, her entire face. She was unrecognizable.
Wow.
And it was during COVID, and they wouldn't let me go in the hospital.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it was just, it was bad. And that was kind of an eye-opener, too. But now, I mean, we have a relationship. Me and my ex-husband, the one that we used, Tim, we're like best friends now. Actually,
I was going to ask about him. So
when I moved, I got my mom and dad's house. And when I got out of rehab, and Tiffany picked me up from graduation, and we got to the house, and my house was destroyed. Where Misty and all them had been in there. We kept trying to get them out when I was gone, and we never could get them out.
And this was your parents' house that you inherited.
Yeah.
Okay.
So did this house become kind of a drug den for a while?
No, well, it did when I was gone.
Yeah,
but now
while you were
before
gone,
that, I was very, I mean, like, my cousin stayed with me for a while, but I had Brody there a lot, so I didn't let just people come in and out.
But while you
I
were
still had my
gone-
drugs.
Yes, right.
But now when I was in rehab, it's like everybody just camped out there.
Then okay.
So when we get home that day, and Brody was going to stay with me, he came to graduation, and Tiffany was like, he cannot stay. I said, no, absolutely not. So, I was trying to get everything cleaned up. Well, my youngest son called. He said, Mom, put the house up for sale, move up here. Said it one time. That's what I did.
Wow.
I remember that, and I want to say that was that level of willingness to do whatever it takes.
Yep.
I would imagine letting go of your parents' home.
It was very
after
hard.
losing everything.
But
But what is it?
I bought
when
my
you have this?
ex-husband's house up there. My house is paid for. My car is paid for. All I have are monthly payments. I mean,
and no phone signal.
Yeah.
And
I live in the woods.
No phone signal.
I live in the woods.
She lives in the woods.
Which probably was a blessing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, to not be able to make a quick call in the weak moments is probably not a bad thing.
I've got a great job. Everybody up there, it's like it used to be in Baldwin County.
Yeah,
because it's so grown up down here.
Yeah.
I'm a country girl.
People count on you again, and that's
Yeah,
something
they do.
that stood out. You were someone they could count on, and then you weren't.
Yeah.
And today you're that and more.
Yeah.
Before we go any further, let's take a minute to address the man or the woman listening to today's episode and wishing for a better life. Or maybe addiction has completely overtaken a family member or a friend.
You are not alone. As you may know, the Jesus Loves Addicts podcast is produced by the Home of Grace, a Christ-centered addiction recovery program in South Mississippi with over 60 years of experience.
The Home of Grace has residential programs ranging from 30 days to 12 months. With 2 separate campuses for men and women, they are fully staffed with caring individuals who want nothing more than to guide you to a life of recovery.
Services include individual and group counseling, marriage and family counseling, classes, workshops, GED, and workforce training, all grounded in biblical principles.
And because of donations from the community, the cost of the program is incredibly affordable.
Thousands of alumni from across the country can tell you there is no other program in the world quite like the Home of Grace.
If you want to start a new path to recovery, don't wait. Speak with an admission specialist today. Visit homeofgrace.org or call 833-55-GRACE to talk with someone.
That's 833-55-GRACE. Call the Home of Grace today.
So, Starr, let me ask you something, because it kind of begs to be asked, right? You've had a period in time where you were 6 years sober, and you're currently 3 years sober, right? What's different this time? Like,
I'm tired of that lifestyle. I mean, when I tell y'all I will never go back down that road again, and when I look at how all of us as a family are now, it's something I don't want to lose.
yeah.
The only regret I have is not getting sober from my mom and dad passed.
I can feel that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
They would have liked to seen that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. And then Brody, I love all my grandkids the same, of course, but Brody's always been, okay, so Dave.
Who's Dave?
Me and Dave met, thought we were married. Don't you remember this?
No. You thought you were married?
Well,
I definitely missed this.
We went to the courthouse and got married. But it was never recorded.
Oh,
we didn't find this out till we started running the title search on the house to sell it.
I don't remember that.
And
That's
Cole was
great.
like, Mom, you haven't been married. The last time you was married was to Dad. And I was like, we went to the courthouse. He said it was never recorded. God works in mysterious ways, is all I've got
Doesn't
to
he?
say.
Yeah.
So,
ended
because
up
he's
being
in
a good thing,
Illinois.
Melissa,
He's in
yeah.
Illinois now, and I'm here.
Yeah.
So we get along great, but it was just the way everything happened. And then everything with Kristen,
Yeah.
you just, I don't know, you just have to know her to.
I'm believing he will meet her soon. I'm working on that, too.
Yeah, because y'all got her coming.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you right now, if it was not for God and all of them,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be where I'm at.
Yeah. Was that relationship with God, where did that kind of get rejuvenated? Is there a moment where it was just like, oh,
I go to church. Well, I'm only off every other weekend, but I'm back in church.
yeah.
Like and it's my sister-in-law. It's a little old country church, nothing
Yeah.
fancy, like maybe 15 of us there.
Sure.
Brody loves it. But it's the way I look at it, if I can just go and get just that little bit,
Sure.
even if it's every other Sunday, I'm there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she may, it might be 30 minutes, it might be an hour,
Yeah.
you know. But and when I tell you, I get on my knees and pray for them kids,
Yeah.
you know, everything with Blake and Amber. And
Blake's the middle son. So, but in this journey, you went to the home of grace.
Mm-hmm.
You are clean, sober, set free.
Yes.
Your daughter, Kristen, is. Your daughter-in-law, Amber, went through, and now your son is also in recovery.
yep.
I mean, that's a lot of ripple effects. When if you look how much addiction
Isn't it?
affects.
Amber's mom, she was
and
my
Amber's
best friend.
mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to push you a little bit, Starr, if I can,
Come on.
right? Because we have some time, and there's some things here that I really think can. So you said, when I tell you guys I'm never going back, I mean I'm never going back. I love that. I love the determination of it. But there's lots of people who have said that
Right.
with as much enthusiasm and found their way back. So what I would like to know is, like, what are you, like, for somebody out there listening, what are some practical things that you can tell them? This is what's different about my life. This is why I can say that with the confidence I say that.
I mean, one thing for sure that I know, you got to get away from the people, the places, the things.
Let me pause you right there. Have those people reached out to you? Have
Yes,
you?
They have at times.
And how did you handle
I'm
that?
sociable, but that's it. I mean, hi, how you doing? That's it. I don't hang with them. I don't go and see them. You know, I've had them call and say, hey, we're having a get-together. Just come see us, you know. No, I'm good. I mean, but you do have to change your friends.
Amen.
You absolutely do.
And wouldn't you say you have to change your conversations? Just the things you allow yourself to talk about and to be around. Also, it's not always just the people. It's if I can change hanging out with Paul and I'm staying sober, but if all those other people I'm around, I'm
Right.
still talking about those things.
Yeah, when I look at it now, I mean, it almost makes me sick to my stomach. I'm like, all the time
was
I
I?
did miss out, I was there for my kids, but I wasn't.
You weren't there.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. And I think
mean,
you
it's
said
sad.
it when you think about the time that you missed with your mom and dad.
Right.
And having to think back and realize, man, there's times I was with them. I wasn't there.
But you wasn't.
And you know that they knew.
Right. Yeah.
So let me offer you the opportunity to go back. You said change people, places, things, and I stopped you right there. Was there anything else? Like, really think about somebody listening, and how can she say that so confidently? What else are you putting into play here that you feel confident is going to help you in your recovery walk?
I don't know. I'm just different now.
Okay.
I mean, everything's different.
Well, I think the people, places, and things are a huge one. Let me ask you something pointedly. You've talked several times about some regret, right? Missing out on your child's childhood, missing out on time with your parents. Have you been able to forgive yourself?
I have.
You have.
I have.
And I think that too is equally important, right? You have
it was
to be
hard.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I still think, you know, of course, but you have to forgive yourself to move on, or you're not really going to move on fully.
That's right.
You know, I mean, I can get up now and go to work and not have to, oh my gosh, how am I going to get, you know, through the day of work or whatever.
Right.
I love where I live. So my husband's family, it's still like I'm family with them.
Right.
You know, we go to the same family functions.
So you're currently married?
No.
No, you mean Tim, ex-husband.
Okay, ex-husband.
Yeah.
All right. You
But
said
best
husband.
friend.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Cool.
Yep.
Well, that's neat.
So
It reminds me of the joke about recovery, right? It's like playing a country song backwards, right? You get your relationships back, you get your happiness back, right? So
You get your dog back.
yeah, get your dog back.
yeah.
So if there was one thing that you wanted to leave the struggling addict with out there that's listening to your story, what would that be?
To me, you got to put God first. You can do it if you really want to do it, but you got to want to do it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how old you are.
It don't matter. Yeah, it don't matter how old you are. I'm 59. It took me 3 times
Yeah.
at Home of Grace.
Well, and
And I mean, and like I said, all of them, they are a very big part of my sobriety.
yeah.
Definitely.
Well, on those two heavy hitters, right?
Yeah.
People, places, and things, and having to want it, right? There has to be something inside. Now, that alone won't do it, right? I think every addict wakes up throughout their time in addiction, time and time again, wanting it, but then they forget they want it, right?
Yeah.
There's brief moments where we want it. It's a different kind of want that you're talking about. It's the kind of want that you've just gotten out of a desert and you need some water, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like that kind of
I
want.
mean,
Desperation.
you know, people's asked me, like, there's a few people where I work that go out back and smoke weed or whatever. I can honestly sit here and tell y'all, none of that bothers me at all.
Yeah, it's
At
not
all.
a temptation.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. When I made up my mind, this last time, that was it.
Yeah.
I hear often, though, from someone I greatly respect in this field that the power of a made-up mind.
It's true, but that's a tricky one because again, we know that willpower alone won't do it.
Will
There's
not.
lots of made up
I think
minds
a lot,
that get
too,
broken.
with seeing my daughter and my son go through it. And I don't,
yeah.
I don't think when we're in that, we don't think that that's going to happen to our children.
Right.
It really doesn't.
Amen. Yeah.
And I've said it and I've heard it said by other parents I know that their children also went into addiction as both of ours did. And then it was like, well, maybe I went through this so they wouldn't have to. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You don't get to choose who you do penance for, or you know what I mean? It's generational curses. Right. It's the nature of addiction.
Yeah.
And I have 7 grandkids, and I mean, I don't want to miss out on anything with them because I did.
You did
miss out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, that's an interesting thing too, right? An image came to my head when you said that, is that in addiction, we're kind of always looking over our shoulder, right? What's going to catch up to me here? You just made this wonderful statement of looking forward, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to miss a minute
I don't want to look back.
of what's coming up, right? Yeah.
Keep pushing forward.
Complete perspective shift, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I love that. And,
and I did lose everything, but I got everything back.
Yeah.
Like I said, my house is paid for. If I want to go shopping or take the grandkids somewhere or buy them something,
you can do it.
I can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so it's kind of, pristine living conditions to prison cell to content living conditions again, right?
Yeah.
We see this kind of full circle.
Yeah, because prison is no joke.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Well, Starr, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, again, I love the fact that we're interviewing you, Starr, on this right Christmas season, and a story of hope. right? Again,
definitely.
kind of pristine to prison to back again. And so thank you so much. And I do think, again, leaving this message with the listening audience, again, that a determined mind is important, but it's not going to be enough. Certainly what we believe is that a determined mind and a broken spirit, you've got to come to God broken and thirsty and hungry for what he has. And he is eager. Here's the beauty of it. He's eager to give it to you.
Yes.
He's just waiting, right? He's not going to dangle that carrot in front of you for long. He is eager to give it to you. But so guys, Merry Christmas. I hope that you enjoyed, again, another story of hope, and especially in this season. We love you. JesusLovesAddicts.com. Hope to see you there. Take care.